Hi, good morning and welcome to Wake Up with Arghon. I'm Lauren Brown, Arghon's Chief Creative Officer. I'm here with Collie Brown, Arghon's founder and CEO, and we are going to have a really great morning show. This is a show where we talk about anything and anything related to AI and tangentially related to AI.
Yeah.
There have been all kinds of things that people have talked about recently regarding artificial intelligence. Some of them are more on par with like the actual practical discussion of AI. Some of them a little less so. So we have a game that we devised called Artificial Irrelevance, and that is essentially where we will bring up headlines, and our guest, today it's Collie Brown, will talk about, whether or not it's relevant, irrelevant, and just what his opinions are. And we'll throw in some really random things as well, just for a little bit of fun. Okay, so the first headline that we're going to bring up: artificial intelligence helps predict the likelihood of life on other worlds. Is this artificially relevant or irrelevant?
It's relevant.
Okay, why?
Because life, there's certain things, certain signatures that we look for life. And you really need, and of course there are some tangential things that we look for as well. And because we don't know exactly what life will be like on some other planet. Yeah. You have to kind of adapt as you go along. So the whole idea of AI is it learns as it goes along. So that's why I'd say it would be.
But is it also then the fact that you can kind of like trace, an AI can more quickly go through and essentially scan planets to say it has these markers, this one doesn't have these markers?
Not so much you could use some basic algorithms to do that.
Yeah.
But what happens, remember, we don't know what life is like on another planet. We assume based on
like it could
physics
be an amoeba,
and biology
or it could be
and
like a giant crab people.
Right. We assume, if you ask most scientists, they're probably going to say it's probably carbon-based because it's a common element. Yeah. But who knows? It could be silicon-based. But there are some signatures that we look for. For example, there's no natural squares.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what else do we not know? And so we have to adapt as we go along. As we learn something, we have to analyze and say, is this something that we just didn't discover, but it's nature?
But it's like in the real world?
Yeah, it's part of
nature. So you think it's possible that we'll find that there are natural squares and then mistake that for intelligent life?
Hardly likely, but hardly likely. If you find natural squares, something's going on.
Do you think there's life on other planets?
Given the odds, yes.
Yeah.
It's just, there are trillions of
But
planets.
do you think we'll interact with them ever, or do you think they're going to be like off in the distance?
Not in our lifetime unless they come to us. I mean, we don't know where their civilization is. So let's say life exists on some other, some other galaxy or some other planet, in another solar system. We know where we are in terms of the development scale. But they could be 1,000, 10,000, 15,000.
So they could have been here and left already.
Possible, but I hardly think so, because if they did, they'd leave some mark. I mean, theoretically,
you never know.
Well, think of it this way.
There's all those people who talk about like Area 51 and crop circles and markings in the desert.
Well, there are lots of things for the government to keep secret, and it doesn't necessarily involve, some Martian or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if you went to France, I said France. If you went to, let's say outer space, you go to Mars.
Okay. They're very much alike.
Right. Our footprint on Mars, because we went to the moon.
Yeah.
And our footprint on the moon is very small. So
there's literally a footprint, though.
There is literally quite a few footprints, but in the scheme of things, that's nothing. Although they don't have weather there to kind of change things. Places like Mars, where there's actually there's storms and things, that footprint will disappear in no time. So could somebody have come to Earth a long, long time before? Possible. How would we know?
True. Okay, so next on artificial irrelevance, the headline is Dissecting Artificial Intelligence to Better Understand the Human Brain. I guess the question is that relevant? Is that not relevant?
That's relevant actually, because
to better understand the human brain.
yes, because it's weird because you start off with the human brain and then you kind of mimic the human brain and then you go back the opposite direction. And the reason is because when you start off with the human brain, you're trying to you mimic the conditions, and you're trying to mimic the how it's structured, how you kind of learn. At least the best way you could think of how we learn. Then you get enough information, you put that into practice, and you start to get some feedback from that. And then you take that and say, okay, is this now what, Is
this what we're really like?
Because you simulate things, yeah, exactly. You simulate things, and are the simulations like the real thing? And you can learn quite a few things from simulation. So after a while, they start to feed each other. It's like it's a two-way street. But initially, it's almost always a one-way street.
Where they're taking the human brain, examining it to develop
exactly. And in Arghon, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
When you ask Arghon questions, we try to mimic the way the brain works.
Yeah, like we even have parts of Arghon that are actually named after parts of the human brain. So
yeah,
that's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the third up on artificially irrelevant is, can artificial intelligence be used to study gut microbes in patients? Is it relevant? Is it irrelevant to the general topic of AI?
Oh, gosh, that's like pushing it. Tangentially, because so you could have an AI that monitors the thing, and as part of a bigger function. So your AI manages your life, but it also manages the medication you take and stuff like that. From that context, yes. That's pushing it. That's why I said that's really, really pushing it.
Is it because it's again, I'll just read it. So it's about studying gut microbes in patients. So is it that it's using AI for that is more of a medical industry concern than it is just a major concern or
it's the microbes in your gut have certain functions, frankly, some critical functions to it.
Yeah.
When we go back to what AI is, which is something to learn and to develop and to, it's not exactly that. That's
right.
That's what I'm saying. That's if you come through the perspective that it's part of a monitoring system, where the AI is monitoring your health and stuff. Yes. But that's as far as I would go. I mean, otherwise I'd just say, you know what, it's much easier to say it's artificially relevant. But someone could make a case, and I wouldn't object to it.
Okay. The final heading we're going to look at in this artificial irrelevance topic game is Hail Technology says deep learning may help predict when people need rides. I'm assuming that rides there means like taxis and public transportation.
Absolutely. Artificially relevant. It's very, very relevant.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's part of what AI is supposed to do. It's supposed to help you. That's why when we built our personal AI, Arghon, its whole purpose is to become your executive assistant.
So it'll know,
it's going to know your schedule.
It's 3 p.m. on a Saturday.
Exactly.
She needs to go to soccer. I need to get that, car or whatever.
Or you normally go to soccer on that day. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you're being very coy, but you also, I think, I agree with you that it's definitely artificially relevant because you also built a feature within Arghon called Arghon Transport, where taxi and other ride management services are able to, in a very three-dimensional visual way, assign, manage, and distribute rides and have passengers, and it's all through AI and through technology. It's like, the rideshare technology that they have now, but souped up because it's got the AI that it's on top of. So you're saying it's relevant, and I'm saying it's definitely relevant.
It's definitely relevant.
And I'm saying it for you because I know you don't want to say it specifically. Yeah. So that concludes the artificial irrelevance section. So one of the things that I think a lot of people are interested in is the Arghon journey and exactly what it means to have built an AI. I know my friends are pretty much like, what the hell do you do every day? And very often I'm asked, like, what does a day working in artificial intelligence look like? So I'm asking you, Collie Brown, to enlighten the viewership. What, in as direct way as possible for all us lay people, what made you start Arghon? What is the thing behind it? And what does your life look like? And try and answer that in under a half hour? It's a long question.
It's a long question, but you can break it up into small pieces. Well, let's start off with what triggered it. So, quite a, as I said, 14 years ago we started Arghon, but slightly before that, I was actually sitting in a medical doctor's office, actually waiting for my mother-in-law, and I got to thinking because she's in Florida and I'm up here in New York, and so I was thinking to myself, well, what would happen when you get back? How are you going to stay in touch with her? And so I started thinking, if we were going to build a system, it would have to, first of all, she's not going to learn very technical stuff, so it has to be very easy to use. In fact, she has to be able to interact with it just like you would a person. And so I started thinking about it from that perspective, and I realized, you know what? Okay, fine. If you were to build something like that she could talk to and so on and so forth, what would that look like?
Yeah.
And then as I looked at her medications. How would you manage that whole process? So you'd have to build the ability to manage things. And then from that led to, if you're going to manage that much of her life, you may as well manage everybody's life.
Yeah.
So that's really where the
so,
initial...
So you make these leaps. You go from, okay, if I can do it in one small box, I can do it in a bigger box, and then I can do it in a bigger box, and then it becomes artificial intelligence.
Exactly. So that's exactly right. And
all right, so then when people go, okay, so you're in AI, what does that mean? Like for your daily life as a job, I, having been on the inside, of course, can tell that it's not one of those typical jobs where every day is the same. But how would you describe it?
So it differs depending on. So now I'm more of a CEO, meaning there's more management stuff. There's promoting the software and all of that and interacting with clients. So that's a different job set from actually the building process.
Right.
And I think a lot of people want to know, like, what's the building process like? How hard is this thing?
If they're technical.
Even if you're not technical, you kind of like want to know, is it hard? Yes, it's very, very hard. No, I mean, it's time consuming, it's very hard, and you have to remember, where's the roadmap? In typical in a typical software, you have a roadmap. If you're going to build, like, let's say, a medical management system, there are specific needs that are going to be
requirements that dictate what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that roadmap, believe it or not, makes it so much easier. And still, with all of that, so many projects fail. In fact, the vast majority of software projects never see the light of day.
Right.
Billions is spent every year, and the software never comes to fruition. So, and that's not even, we're talking about something much simpler than AI.
Yeah.
So you have that.
That's like, I know when, at many points during, the course of, especially post-college when I was much more fully into Arghon, I remember describing it to someone as it's essentially having to like hack a trail through a forest that's never been walked before, and at the same time people are expecting you to get to the destination. And I think then even at one point you said the same thing to me about you have to figure out what those, you see the destination over on the hill, but you've got to walk all the way through this forest. And a person that I met with relating to like charitable works and different things was talking about, I remember the thing that they asked, which is the thing that most people ask, and I'm sure they ask you this, is how do you sustain since this was 14 years essentially, 13 years officially, but 14 years of really actual work towards
hard
this.
work building, yeah.
What kept you going?
Well, a number of things. One is the destination,
Wanting it? Like wanting to get there?
Actually, thinking that you can get there.
Okay.
That is critical. Because
so that belief.
Yes. If you don't think you can get there, you're going to give up along the way. Because, as I mentioned, it's hard. If I didn't mention it before, I'm saying it again. It's very difficult. And, but from the onset, the goal was an achievable goal. The question is, what would it take to get there? Will we get there? Yes. But how much time would it take to get there? And what is the overall cost in terms of just human cost and
human cost, time,
everything, yeah,
understanding,
and but then we had accomplishments along the way. So I remember the first 4 years. The first 4 years when we were building the foundation, we were setting up these neural networks and things like that. It was, there wasn't a lot you could show people because we were building these things behind the scenes. And so, when you talk to your friends, and I have a lot of technical friends, and they would just like, yeah, there he goes again with this crazy thing. Because, imagine telling somebody something.
Well, you're saying like, I'm gonna go and have a unicorn. Like, I'm gonna go birth a unicorn, and
exactly, and they look at you with
like, what does that mean?
They know you're sane, but they from time to time start to question whether or not,
like, does he quite know what he's doing?
Yeah, does he know how crazy this thing is and how big this thing is?
Yeah.
It's very different from their reaction now.
Yeah.
But back then, it was like, and you have to remember the conditions when we started out. So most cell phones didn't have. In fact, frankly, cell phones were a lot simpler.
Yeah.
And
it was flip phones. It was like the
flip
Razor.
phones, exactly. There were no, permanent internet connections.
Yeah.
So it was those environment. But when we looked ahead, we could see that those things were going to be. It naturally progressed, and we knew from natural progression that as we were building, the rest of society, the rest of technology would advance.
Yeah, would catch.
So that at some point where we are today, everything comes together and we have this solid product.
Yeah.
But it's hard telling people, or at least trying to describe to people something. When I say I remember back 14 years ago, I'm saying to people that, yeah, your phone is going to have permanent connection to the internet. That sounded strange, and they're like, yeah, like that's going to be extremely expensive, and yeah, initially, but if you look at how technology.
Yeah, progressive.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can predict the trend.
So, but back to part of your question, which is, what is it like on a daily basis? Well, today, we're managing the clients and managing the high level function. But in terms of a day-to-day operation of the company, the brain is all. You never finish building the brain. That's one of the things that.
But that's like how the human mind doesn't stop
exactly.
learning.
It keeps learning.
Yeah.
And what is an AI if it can't provide services? You could have a smartest, coolest AI, but if it can't help the public, that's not good.
No.
And the public isn't gonna reward you.
Useless is what they would call that.
Exactly. So we're constantly looking at it, analyzing what services can we provide?
Yeah.
How we provide the services, where things are going, and part of the fun of it actually is being able to, through our analysis, know where the technology is going, long before the public, long before the media, long before a lot of people. So there's
being on that inside track.
Yeah, there's a certain satisfaction in knowing that you were one of the first few people who could see where this technology was going.
Yeah.
So it's a cool job. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's a cool job. Seriously, it's a cool job.
So how do you feel about the fact that our team is expanding and we've got such talented people?
That was one of those things you work for. You want to see. Yeah.
Yay!
And I'm especially proud of the makeup of our team.
Yeah.
Because you guys may not know this, but the majority of our team are female.
Yeah.
Are women, and frankly, the truth is that
that's that's fairly unheard of in tech, unless the company is run solely by a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what? I grew up in a house with strong women, and I saw the results are positive. And for all my life, I've been around women who could solve problems. Who had excellent communication skills. If you're going to build AI...
Oh, thank you. I do have great communication.
Yeah, you all do. I mean, the team does. And, so it's a natural thing. And honestly, I think that, Silicon Valley is really putting themselves at a disadvantage by not fully taking advantage of that, of women. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Taking advantage of the intelligence.
To get them on board, to get them into the field, because technology is about perspective. What makes technology useful is application. And that is something that people who use it and
majority of the people in the world are women. So they're going to have a huge amount to say about that. And, so, I mean, whether they're writing the code or they're part of the decision-making process, part of how the brain operates.
Yep.
I think Silicon Valley is leaving a lot on the table.
So it's like they're leaving, it's like there's diamonds that are just being kind of dropped.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say diamonds, rubies, pearls.
So if you're a diamond out there who wants to get into the tech industry, just call us up because we're looking for more people. Arghon is growing and it's a burgeoning industry or emerging industry, artificial intelligence. So definitely reach out to us because we are open on social media channels, emails, all that.
Right. Yeah.
But I totally hear you and I totally agree with you. I wanted to ask your opinion on the basically the way that there's this kind of concern. There's an ethical concern regarding artificial intelligence. I personally feel that it's a little bit ahead of. It's kind of jumping the shark. Like I think it's the concern about regulating AI makes sense. But I do wonder what you think about the intensity of that concern right now.
Overblown. The short answer is it's overblown. We're ways away from. Should people start thinking about that? Yes.
Yeah.
Should they be concerned? No, not right now.
Yeah.
But they should be thinking about it. The technology, is it's in its infancy. We're like trying to regulate the internet of today back in 1992. It just you're way that's just the technology isn't advanced enough to.
So we have more time to get there before it becomes.
We have plenty of time. Congress and the various government officials from various countries have lots of time to put this thing together. The thing about it is that they should start thinking about it.
Yeah.
And take the time, the good amount of time, a few years, to properly understand it, so that they don't go and do nothing and then all of a sudden just do a knee-jerk reaction where they just come in and just try to
reactive and it causes problems.
Exactly. Take the time to patiently look at it, see where it's going. Start your committees and have them. You've got 3 years to figure out where things are, 4 years or whatever it is. This way, the legislation and the different laws that come into play doesn't hamper, because the last thing you want to do is take a burgeoning technology and kill it with some regulation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we in the tech field have to be responsible. We have to. Profit is a very important part, and it's in fact a key part of why we do what we do. I would do this because I love it, but I also do it because it's a very profitable thing.
Yeah.
It's the biggest new technology that's coming.
So to sum up what you're saying, give it time before you jump on that bandwagon.
Take the time, take the time to think about it and come up with something.
All right. Well, with that, I think we have to conclude this morning show because we have a whole lot more AIing to do. So thank you, Collie, for being here on Wake Up with Arghon.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for being here on Wake Up with Arghon. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and select the notifications to see whenever a new video is put up. Follow us on social media, and to download Arghon, visit www.arghon.com. That's ARGHON.com. Alrighty, thank you. See ya.
Subscribe to this channel where weekly we'll explore what it means to connect to your world through artificial intelligence. And to be part of the Arghon journey, follow us on social media.